Thank you for joining me on the channel, Mazarov Tarot. I just kind of want to have a quick conversation. I literally just woke up from a nap, and I kind of want to have a quick conversation with you guys. It's not day specific, and I'm not talking to any specific sign. So let's go ahead and get into it. You guys, it was so weird because I was like at this apartment complex, but the thing is, the car kind of color that was outside was kind of familiar to me. I'm having an acne breakout. I do believe that I'm about to start my cycle, but anyway, I had saw one of my neighbors with, like, they have this yellow truck. I kind of had, it was two cars. They were very similar, and one was driven by this female that I guess I was familiar with, and then another car was parked, and I wasn't familiar with that said person, but it made me think about that neighbor of mine. But anyway, I'm all over the place. It was so weird, you guys, because in this dream there was this feminine energy, a mother. She was a young mother, and I can't remember if she had this like a prominent tattoo that I'm about to explain, or if this other masculine energy that was also, I don't know if he was staying at that apartment, but he was there, and people were trying to prove that he was a sexual predator. And he was like this light-skinned, taller guy, mid-build. He could have been 20 to 30 years old. He could have been older, but like 35 max, I'm gonna say. But he had like shorter dreads, not necessarily. But he was very light-skinned, African-American. He could have been biracial. But anyway, there was this tattoo, and I can't recall if the female mother that I'm about to talk about had the tattoo. I believe she did. But also the masculine, I don't know, it could have been like a really common tattoo. It was a crown tattooed on the forehead of two individuals that were guilty of a crime. And you guys, I'm about to talk about it. It was so weird because I smell rotten eggs, or I smell a dead body right now, and it was freaking me out. Like, I was trying to like possibly get in contact with like my maintenance, because it smells so bad. It smelled bad. A feminine energy, a young mother. She was like African American, possibly. She could have been Hispanic. She could have been mixed. She was ambiguous. She had killed her children. A young mother had killed her children. She only had one child. She had a little baby boy. But she like went on a massacre. This mother that I was talking about, and it was something about her hair. It was down, it was pressed. I mean, it was just like sleek, and you would have, and she had like a really prominent like jawline. It was very prominent. As I talk about it, I'm gonna try to think about some people that could possibly, it was like a masculine jawline, but it was very prominent. She had killed her baby, and I believe she had killed her mother. Like, she had killed multiple people in her house. The thing that was so weird, her dude that was driving, I believe either my neighbor's car or that yellow car that I had mentioned, it was like mustard, maybe in the parking lot. But it was a female driving it. She was so deranged that when she had went on this murderous spree, this young mom, this could have been teen mom, I don't think so. She had called her boyfriend. I don't know if he was the child's father. I don't know. But she had called him because she started being concerned about what he was going to see. She didn't want him to see what she had did to her child, her mother. And like in the dream with my neighbor in this scenario, I just couldn't fathom, because when I would see her, she just seemed like not an average. She seemed like above average. She dressed nice. Her child dressed nice. He was a cute little boy, like maybe 1. He could have been younger than 1, but he was walking. I don't know if he was exactly 2, but he was walking. But I don't think he was actually really good at walking yet. And he loved his mother. And I remember just in the dream, like, trying to figure out what happened. Like, why would she do that? Yada, 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 yada. And it was because her mother, because they all lived together. Well, I speculated. I assumed because it was just so weird for her to have snapped like that. But it was something about it being extremely hot. I'm going to get to that in a minute. I started speculating on why she could have did it, and I feel like she snapped because she didn't like how her own mother, the young mother that went on that killing spree, she didn't like the fact that her own mother would overstep her parenting abilities or whatever have you. The thing that was so weird is that she had suffocated the baby and she had suffocated her mother. It was very strange because it was like I started to think not positively about it because it was a terrible situation, but it was like really, really hot, like really, really hot. It could have been Marietta, Georgia. I ain't never lived in Marietta, Georgia, but it's something. And the pillowcase, I speculated in the dream, was extremely cold to the baby's face. So I felt like it could have been cooling to the baby. I don't know why. The thing that was so weird, it was so much going on in that apartment. It correlated with that other guy. Those two were not connected in any way, any shape, or any form, other than we all lived instead. We didn't necessarily live in the same apartment building. We could have. We all kind of lived in the same apartment complex. It was connected to this young dude, the one that I described earlier, who it was like 20 women had came forward because they were like, they believed that he didn't infect them, but they believed that he was attempting or trying to infect people in the community with HIV. And it was, he had it. He had the disease. And he was going out and sleeping with people. The thing is, I don't know if he was like undetectable because the women didn't contract it. But they were like, they didn't know that they were sleeping with somebody that had it regardless. So it's like they felt like their choice was taken away because them, like, either they wouldn't have slept with that person, maybe they would have did it differently, put on PrEP. I don't know. That's just some things I've heard through the grapevine. But they wanted to press charges. Now, I don't know what state they are. I know some states, if you can prove that a person did not disclose their sexual status, and you can find out that that person knew beforehand that they had something like that, you can't press charges. I don't know if they become like a sex offender or something like that, but I know some places you have to contract the actual infection. In some places, I believe that you just have to prove that that person had it and they didn't tell you, and you have proof you slept with that person, or, you know, so on and so forth. And they didn't tell you. But the thing that was so weird, like that masculine energy, he was a predator. What I mean is, like, he was actually doing what he was accused of. But when the police came to talk to him, for some reason, they didn't necessarily let him off the hook. He was denying the situation. Like, I ain't sleep with all those women in the community. I didn't do it, and they don't have no actual proof. I don't know if he had burner phones. I don't know if he had, given them false names, or, type of thing. But what ended up happening is he did, this is gonna sound weird, he was an actual sex offender predator, meaning he was into small children. And what ended up happening is he tried to sexually violate a baby, like a toddler, a child, I don't know what the hell it was. And the baby had attacked him. His face, I can't remember whether his face or his neck, it was somewhere visible, and somewhere that the baby or the younger individual could have defended themselves. The thing is, the masculine energy, because it was like the people kept calling but it felt weird because I'm gonna get to it in a minute. The parent of that child kept the DNA underneath that baby's fingertips after it dealt with that masculine energy, and it took that baby to the police station or the hospital, and they got that DNA, and it did match with that person. The only issue is they, like the mother of that said child or younger individual, kind of used that child as bait, because they already knew or have heard the rumors about that male, and they used that baby as bait to prove what everybody else was saying in the community was true, or to prove what they were saying in the community was true. The thing is, it was something where I was trying to cross the street, and my neighbor, like Mustard or something like that, or feminine energy, was driving her car, but it seemed like could have been a mother. I don't know what it was. And she was like, because I was walking to get to my car, because I was having I wasn't having a hard time. I just couldn't believe what I had just heard with that young mom. And that's when, after I'm about to explain what happened, when I finally got to my car, that's when I in that dream, that's when I started speculating, like, dang, what happened? Like, what would have caused that young mom to do that? And then on top of that, I don't know if that young mom did herself in. I know she did her mother, and I know she did that young baby. I think she had got arrested. The issue is, I was like, how insane do you gotta be that you gonna care about the mental safety, or mental, like, she was caring about the sanity of that boyfriend above all else. And I remember just going to my car thinking, like, how the hell you gonna do your kid in and do your mom in? But it's not that she didn't do herself in. It's just that you can't say that you was insane, because she called her boyfriend, like, don't come here. But it wasn't like, don't come, like, you know how people lie, like they hiding something. It wasn't like that. I don't think she was hiding anything. She literally was like, don't come here because, or this is what I was hearing on the news, she had called, like, don't come here because you is going to see what I've done. Now, I don't know. He listened. I don't even know if he cared enough. He did listen, but it's like, I just remember being shocked. What I was saying is, like, before I got to my car and I could process everything that I had just heard about my neighbor and the sex offender neighbor dude that was touching on somebody's baby. My neighbor's yellow mustard car was coming down the street, and I was crossing the street, but I was just simply crossing the street to try to get into my car. But she was crossing the street. It wasn't even a street. You know how, like, if you live in an apartment complex, like the parking lot type of thing, I was crossing kind of like a street, just from the apartment complex to the car lot, or car, whatever. And she was coming down because she was trying to find a parking spot, I'm assuming. And for some reason, she was saying, she had popped her head out the window like, oh, I wouldn't dare do that, because I was wondering if she was going to stop. If she was going to stop, because I was trying to cross the street, and it seemed like she was coming fast, or she was really close to me, and it was like, the pedestrian kind of has the right of way, essentially, especially with, like, neighbors, not necessarily, but she had popped her head out the window like, oh, I wouldn't dare do that. I wouldn't dare do that. But it was, I mean, I couldn't tell if she was trying to be funny, because she was trying to act like I acted like I was like big or bad, or like I had connections or something like that. And I couldn't really read her energy. I mean, regardless, she stopped. But I didn't like the fact, when I think about it, you know how some people say little smart shit in passing, but you know, you don't really take it. You take it at face value, I guess. But then when you think about it a little later, you're like, is that person trying to be funny? It was like that. And I remember looking at her, like, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, was you trying to be funny? Because she was like, oh, I wouldn't dare this. I wouldn't dare. Go ahead, go ahead. I had the right of way, though. I had the right of way. So, because I was like, when I say, like, I had the right of way, when I started crossing to get to my car, there was no cars coming down the street. She started coming fast like a bat out of hell down the street, and then gonna stop and pop her head out the window, like, because I was looking at her like, lady, like, you know, is you gonna stop? Because you see me, I'm already in the middle of the street trying to get to my car, my parked car, by the way. And she popped her head out the window like, I wasn't there, duh. I don't know, but y'all, I hope that smell that I was smelling subsides, because it stank. I mean, I literally called my mom and everything, like, it smelled like death or rotten eggs in this house. It smelled bad. And so much so that it had woke me up from a little nap I was taking. Now, they have a cat next door, so I'm like, I don't know if that cat has kitty litters in there, and it smells awful. They need to change that shit, or someone did. I mean, because I was walking past my neighbors, they was outside smoking, and I smelled it. I smelled it when I walked past them. I smelled it in that trash can, because I just took my trash out, because I was like, I don't even know, like, there's nothing. I have cereal boxes. I had cereal boxes, a milk carton, but it wasn't milk. It was like almond milk, and something that don't have that kind of smell. Stuff in my trash can. And I don't know, so hopefully that gets better. But I just thought that was really interesting journey, because they had like one of them had a crown tattoo on their head. I think it was the feminine energy. I think it was the female that had her mother and her child in. But anyway, that was it. So peace.